Welcome to Starbound, where every star tells a story. Have you ever wondered what happens when human cunning meets alien deceit in the high-stakes arena of interstellar diplomacy? Let's get into the story. The stale, recycled air of the Zarlonian cruiser pressed heavily on Captain Marco Ramius. His starched uniform, crisp and sterile, felt like a noose around his neck. He had spent decades navigating the treacherous waters of interstellar diplomacy and borne the weight of representing Earth at 1,000 negotiating tables. But this was different. They sat across from the Zarlonian delegation, their bulbous heads and mottled skin radiating distrust under the harsh fluorescence. Truna, the Zarlonian lead, steepled his chitinous hands with a condescending smirk. His words translated through the buzzing of the supposedly faulty human translation device. They were hollow pleasantries. Hidden beneath the surface, Marco knew, simmered a thinly veiled contempt for Earth and its burgeoning place in the galactic community. Liam, the young xenolinguist, nestled beside him, fidgeted with the device, a silver monolith bristling with antennas. The device had passed every functionality test but was now glitching, conveniently allowing one-way translation. Marco had seen that glint in Liam's eyes, an almost predatory spark, as soon as their translators picked up the first Zarlonian insult. A gamble, yes, but it was starting to pay dividends.
Primitives.
Glartok, the burly Zarlonian representative, had drawled earlier in their native tongue.
Barely capable of interstellar travel. It's a travesty they were allowed a seat at this table.
Rage coursed hot in Marco's veins, yet he maintained an impassive face. His mind raced, every insult fueling his resolve. Let them spew their venom, expose their true intentions. They were playing a perilous game of galactic poker. That humanity, after centuries of being dismissed as the newcomers to the grand game, held a hidden ace. Hours passed in a cruel charade of cordiality, thinly disguising deep-seated aggression. The Zarlonians' words dripped with venom, thinly veiled as concerns over humanity's rapid expansion and untested technologies. With each barb, Liam's fingers moved faster over the translator's controls, not tinkering as it appeared, but compiling. Sergeant Ramirez, the unwavering figure behind Marco's chair, radiated a tension matched only by his commander. The room was a powder keg, waiting for a spark, and Marco was prepared to strike the match. The device only offering seemingly broken English, hard to decipher, as Truna and Marco tried to continue the negotiations. Truna leaned across the table, a mockery of a smile plastered across his face.
Tell me, Captain,
his voice rasped, translated by the device into broken English.
What exactly does Earth intend to contribute to the proposed trade routes? Surely you're not naive enough to assume you'll reap equal benefits.
Marco's practiced smile matched the Zarlonians in its falsity. Rest assured, Delegate Truna. Earth always seeks equitable exchanges. Perhaps you haven't reviewed our latest proposal. The Zarlonian snorted, his antennae twitching in disdain.
Proposals built on promises. How typical. The humans speak so grandly of their potential, yet they clutch at our advancements, desperate for any scrap of technology we discard.
Liam's frenetic typing was barely concealed, and Ramirez's hand strayed closer to the holstered sidearm. An open challenge now. The Zarlonians could no longer pretend this was diplomatic sparring. Yet Marco maintained his calm facade. If you find our progress unsettling, perhaps a collaborative venture would assuage your fears, he offered smoothly. The suggestion hung heavy in the suddenly thick air. Collaborate with the primitives? The sheer arrogance of it was a slap in the face to the Zarlonians, and Marco could see it dawning on Truna's face. This is the moment. The trap was baited.
You presume we require your assistance?
Truna hissed, his voice trembling slightly. This is no longer about trade lanes or political maneuvering. This was about pride, the deep-seated belief in Zarlonian superiority, and they had taken the bait. Glartok slammed a meaty fist on the table, rattling the delicate glassware.
Collaborate!
He roared, spittle flying as the translation device strained to make sense of the guttural Zarlonian outburst.
We would crush your pathetic...
Marco raised a hand, silencing him, not with a shout, but with the serene confidence of a man holding all the cards. We've heard quite enough, delegates. Liam hit a final key, and the translator device hummed to life. However, it was no longer their language emitted. Silence descended, broken only by the soft whir of the Zarlonian environmental systems. Truna and Glartok stared in open-mouthed astonishment as the translator rattled off their insults, their threats, and their disgustingly prejudiced views in their own tongue clear as day. Marco stood, the weight of millennia of human struggle evident in his posture. The glitch, he announced, his voice resonating with a cold fury, was intentional. Your contempt, so freely expressed when you believed yourselves unheard, has laid bare your true intentions. Truna scrambled for words, his segmented exoskeleton paling.
Lies! Fabrications!
Fabrications? Marco countered. Sergeant? Ramirez stepped forward, activating a small holographic display from his wrist. The delegates watched in mounting horror as hours of their own words streamed back at them. Strategy sessions, offhand remarks, everything that was never meant for human ears. The room crackled with tension, the Zarlonian arrogance replaced by a dawning realization of their catastrophic error.
You misunderstand.
Truna blurted, his voice now thin and strained.
Those were private discussions. Frustration.
Or a cold, calculated plan for deception? Marco finished. He turned to survey the chamber, addressing the recording devices and thus broadcasting their treachery to the galaxy beyond their ship. Let it be known that the Zarlonian delegation arrived at these peace negotiations with hearts bent on exploitation, not collaboration. They sought to lull Earth into a false sense of security, to undermine our progress for their own gain.
This is slander!
Glartok snarled, attempting to regain some semblance of control. No. Dr. Liam Chen spoke up, his quiet voice commanding the room. This is data. Incontrovertible, admissible, and damning. The translator, you see, was always more than a mere communication device. It was designed to analyze linguistic patterns, expose deceit, and record it for all future reference. The Zarlonians seethed. The game definitively over. What they mistook as primitive tech had outsmarted them, revealing a level of human technological and tactical brilliance unexpected by these galactic old-timers. Marco lowered his voice. Then the power of his words no less impactful when spoken softly. Let the record reflect. Those who negotiate with Earth do so at their own peril. He gestured toward the Zarlonian delegation. Gentlemen, you are dismissed. Your deceit has earned your people consequences. News of the Zarlonian treachery spread like wildfire. Star systems once hesitant to align with Earth openly condemned their deceitful tactics. The Zarlonians, prideful and accustomed to a galaxy that played to their tune, faced a political quagmire. Their leadership floundered, offering half-hearted apologies and blaming overzealous negotiators. For Earth, it was a turning point. The galactic players took notice. This was no longer simply a world achieving interstellar travel. This was a species savvy enough to predict and outmaneuver their opponents. A species with the audacious foresight to weaponize its own weaknesses. Captain Ramius sat in his quarters aboard the gleaming Earth-built flagship. It wasn't the lavishness of his accommodations that soothed him, but the hum of the hyperdrive and the distant shimmer of stars through the grand viewport. He held a thick datapad, its screen filled with new treaty proposals, corporate ventures, and even tentative offers of alliance from those who had previously dismissed humanity as mere upstarts. Dr. Chen entered, his once youthful face shadowed by a newfound gravity. The Zarlonians are recalling their ambassadors across the sector, he reported, his voice grim. Retreating to lick their wounds, Marco mused. But pride is a stubborn beast. They'll be back. Undoubtedly, Liam agreed. But they'll be wary, and the galaxy is watching. We've bought ourselves time, Captain. Time to grow stronger. Marco nodded. Liam had designed the translator, yes, but it was Marco who had orchestrated its perfect use. It was a team effort, the kind that made him believe in Earth's future amidst the vast, sometimes hostile galaxy. He set the datapad aside. Have you contacted Sergeant Ramirez? He's awaiting your orders in the training bay, Liam confirmed. A ghost of a smile finally crossed Marco's lips. Excellent. I think it's time I taught him a few new tricks. He rose, his uniform no longer a constricting symbol, but a badge of well-earned pride. Earth had made its opening move on the galactic chessboard, a bold and unexpected gambit. But the true game was only just beginning. The training bay pulsed with controlled violence. Sergeant Ramirez, a mountain of discipline and honed muscle, sparred with 2 combat droids. His moves were fluid, brutal, yet calculated. Marco observed from the observation deck, Liam beside him, a thoughtful glint in his eyes. He's improved exponentially, Liam noted. You've hidden his talents well, Captain. A precaution, Marco said, watching Ramirez disarm one droid and send the other crashing against the far wall. The galaxy doesn't need to know just how formidable Earth's best can be. But now? Liam questioned, tilting his head. Marco smiled grimly. Now, we remind the Zarlonians exactly what they're dealing with. He turned, his gaze sweeping the room. The best defense isn't always starships or technology, Liam. Sometimes, it's well-placed fear. Hey everybody, sorry for interrupting the video, but thank you so much for all your support so far. And if you're watching this video and you are not subscribed, please hit that button to support us today. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get back to the video. Word had reached them, whispered rumors of a clandestine Zarlonian initiative, a Black Ops team assembled to undermine Earth's growing influence. Assassination attempts, sabotage, whatever underhanded tactics their damaged honor dictated. It was the expected reaction, the lashing out of a cornered beast. You have a plan? Liam didn't ask, but stated. More like a demonstration. Marco gestured toward Ramirez, who now stood unarmed facing the 2 reactivated combat droids. Sergeant Ramirez isn't just a soldier. He's a symbol. One we will put to good use. A chilling grin spread across Liam's face. I understand. A ghost story for our enemies. A whispered legend of an unstoppable human. It's poetic in a way. Poetic, but entirely necessary, Marco corrected. Earth needs its boogeymen. He knew in this galaxy, peace wasn't simply earned through treaties and handshakes. It was a fragile thing, maintained through a delicate balance of demonstrated capability and the calculated threat of force. Liam watched Ramirez dismantle the droids with disconcerting ease. Then I will prepare the broadcast equipment, Captain. Let's give the wider galaxy a show they won't soon forget. The transmission went out on frequencies the Zarlonians could not ignore. It was grainy, a mere fragment of footage intercepted from an unauthorized source. A lone figure, back to the camera, moved with lethal precision within a dimly lit combat arena. 2 hulking battle droids, armed with deadly plasma cannons, fell in a whirlwind of human violence. The footage was visceral, raw, a shocking display of strength and speed. Rumors spread like nebula dust throughout Zarlonian territory, whispers about the demon of Earth, an elite human warrior untouched by their advanced weaponry. The stories grew in the telling, taking on an almost mythic quality. Zarlonians who once ridiculed humanity's military prowess now found unease settling in their hearts. The image of that lone warrior decimating their finest combat technology lingered in their collective consciousness. Meanwhile, Earth remained officially silent. No announcements, no confirmations, just the lingering echo of that leaked transmission, seeding uncertainty in the hearts of their enemies. The Zarlonian Black Ops teams hesitated. Their plots stalled as they questioned every shadow, every unexpected malfunction. Were they already hunted by this unknown human weapon? Back in the training bay, Marco pushed Ramirez harder. The sergeant never complained, his stoic exterior hiding an unwavering loyalty born in secret shared battlefields of the past. They trained not just for combat, but for their performance in front of hidden cameras, a choreographed show of might designed for a very specific audience. Dr. Chen monitored it all, his brilliant mind as vital as Marco's experience and Ramirez's brute strength. "Our ghost is becoming quite a popular figure on the Zarlonian darknet," he reported with a hint of amusement. "Their internal disruption is significant." "Excellent," Marco said, a cold satisfaction curling in his gut. Zarlonians reveled in tales of terror only when they were the ones inspiring it. Now they tasted their own medicine. It was psychological warfare, a game just as old as diplomacy itself, yet brutally effective. Fear metastasized within the Zarlonian ranks, seeping into their politics and strategy. Their once bold initiatives against Earth faltered. Starbases reported strange malfunctions as if unseen saboteurs haunted their systems. A Zarlonian freighter inexplicably went off course, drawn into the inky depths of a nebula never to be heard from again. Panic was a potent weapon, and humanity wielded it with masterful precision. Liam stood before Marco, his normally disheveled hair meticulously combed, excitement bubbling beneath his serious facade. "We have an invitation, Captain." Marco arched a brow. "Not from the Zarlonians, I presume?" "No," Liam confirmed, a smile twitching at the corner of his lips. "The Ascendancy of Kelnor has requested a formal diplomatic summit on neutral territory." The Kelnor were an enigmatic race, ancient and reclusive. Their technology was the stuff of galactic legends, and their political neutrality made them the perfect brokers of interstellar agreements. This was more than an opportunity. This was validation. Earth was stepping into the big leagues. "The Zarlonians will be furious," Marco mused. Earth had bypassed them, making the galaxy explicitly aware that their influence was waning. "Let them stew," Liam replied. "We've earned a seat at a better table." Weeks later, the Earth delegation stepped onto the gleaming marble floors of the Kelnor space station. The air shimmered with advanced energy fields, and the Ascendancy representatives themselves were marvels of biological and technological integration. Earth was no longer gawking at wonders, no longer the awestruck newcomers. They were here as equals. Negotiations were fierce, a battle of intellect and wills. Yet through it all ran an undercurrent of respect Marco had rarely encountered. The Kelnor, as impartial observers, recognized the shift of power. Earth stood tall, its voice amplified not just by their own cunning, but by the fear they had carefully cultivated across the stars. News of the Earth-Kelnor trade pact rippled through the galaxy, sending a jolt of both hope and apprehension across various star systems. It solidified Earth's status as a rising power, a testament to human grit and cunning. The Zarlonians, however, were backed into a corner. Their aggressive posturing had failed spectacularly, isolating them rather than intimidating Earth. The fallout was as swift as it was brutal. Zarlonians who had seen their empire as unassailable witnessed internal division. Factions arose, some advocating conciliation with this unexpectedly formidable new race, while others clung to the old ways, their pride demanding vengeance. The once mighty Zarlonian empire teetered on the brink of instability. Back on Earth, Marco stood on a balcony high above a bustling starport. The sky was painted with the trails of departing and arriving ships, a testament to the trade and exchange their bold gambit had secured. Dr. Chen joined him, the setting sun glinting off his spectacles. The Zarlonians have issued a formal apology, Liam reported, a hint of astonishment in his voice, and a plea for renewed negotiations. Marco laughed, a harsh sound born of decades of frustration and struggle.
An apology born of desperation, not true remorse.
He gazed out at the sprawling city below, at the gleaming towers and the ceaseless hum of human activity.
But we will accept, of course.
We have the upper hand, Liam mused. We could press the advantage, force concessions.
Marco shook his head. Now's not the time for magnanimity, Liam. We crush their fleets, yes, but we do not crush their spirit entirely. Quartered animals are most dangerous. He leaned on the railing, a calculated peace in his eyes. Let them maintain a scrap of their former glory. Let them fear us, but also envy us. It'll be a few years before they dare challenge Earth again.
And in those years?
Liam asked. Marco's smile was that of an old predator who had long perfected this hunt. In those years, we grow stronger. We build alliances, expand our reach. We play the long game, Liam. Because this galaxy, it's far bigger than the petty squabbles of the Zarlonians. Decades rolled by, each one a brushstroke on the grand galactic canvas. Earth thrived amidst the turbulence of interstellar politics. They were no longer the newcomers, but a respected power, forging alliances, pushing technological boundaries, and always with a wary eye on their old rivals. Zarlonia, much like a wounded beast, slowly rebuilt, humiliated. They became cunning. They studied Earth, its tactics, its vulnerabilities, its humanity. Revenge gnawed at the heart of their empire, a slow, burning poison they refused to relinquish. Captain Ramius, now a seasoned statesman with silver streaking his hair, sat in his expansive office. It was a far cry from the cramped negotiation rooms of the past, but the burden of responsibility weighed no less heavily. He studied the encrypted report with a frown creasing his brow.
Zarlonia is mobilizing its fleets.
Liam, now older, the weariness evident in his voice, spoke the dreaded words.
Their movements do not align with defensive maneuvers.
Marco sighed. The ghosts of the past had finally caught up with the present. They've learned nothing, it seems. He turned, the vastness of Earth reflected in the window behind him. But neither have we. The war that followed wasn't the swift, decisive victory humanity had envisioned. The Zarlonians, fueled by a desire for vengeance, decades in the making, fought with a ferocity born of desperation. Star systems burned, fleets clashed in titanic battles, and the casualty reports made even hardened veterans flinch. Yet Earth, ever adaptable, ever cunning, refused to be broken. They leveraged alliances forged over decades, their technological innovations countering Zarlonian aggression at every turn. Sergeant Ramirez, now a grizzled general, led legendary campaigns, the whispers of the demon of Earth returning to haunt their enemies. It was a brutal ballet of destruction and resilience, the fate of empires hanging in the balance. The tide turned as tides always do. Earth, battered but unbroken, began to push back. It wasn't mere technological superiority that won the day, but the unwavering spirit forged over lifetimes of struggle. For every human soldier lost, two more stepped forward, defiance in their eyes. Earth wouldn't just survive, it would prevail. The final battle played out in the orbit of Zarlon Prime, their cradle world. The once proud capital was scarred by war, its glittering towers now defiant against the darkness of space. Marco, aboard his command ship, watched as the battle unfolded, a grim orchestra of explosions and desperate maneuvers. "Captain?" Liam's voice crackled over the comm, laden with an unusual urgency.
We've intercepted a transmission, a Zarlonian surrender. Marco felt not triumph, but a weary sadness settle over him. Years of bloodshed, entire planets reduced to ash, it could have been avoided. Pride is a costly master, he murmured. The terms of surrender were broadcast across known space. Zarlonia, the once mighty empire, was broken. Their fleets would be decommissioned, their territory subject to oversight, a harsh but necessary punishment to maintain galactic peace. Yet as the echoes of war faded, Marco knew it was a fragile peace, bought with too much sacrifice. Back on Earth, years later, he walked the hallowed halls of the Remembrance Memorial. Countless names etched in stone, a testament to the cost of galactic power. Liam trailed beside him, the brilliant xenolinguist now stooped with age, his eyes haunted. "We won," Liam said, his voice barely a whisper. "But at what price?" Marco countered. He gestured to the names, soldiers, civilians, those sacrificed on the altar of ambition. "Have we simply become the new Zarlonia?" Liam had no answer for that. There are some questions with no easy solutions, some victories that taste like defeat. The memorial stretched before them, a silent indictment of the endless cycle of conflict and ascension that plagued the stars. "Perhaps," Marco finally said, his voice thick with a lifetime of grief and hard-won wisdom, "the greatest act of power lies in finding a way to end this cycle, to ensure those names are the last."